Just really enjoyed them last couple of shows that we had with Simon from Star Wars. He was amazing. Yeah,
So
really
interesting. Yeah.
And Peter was, Triple G. Come on, what a ledge!
Absolute legend. I loved those episodes. They were so good. I had such a blast doing them. So who have we got this week?
Oh no, it's just us this week.
Oh, did no one want to come on then?
Well, no, I didn't ask anyone to come on this one. I thought it'd be cool, just me and you again.
Yeah, it'd be great.
Well, I'm James,
and I'm Matt, and welcome to another episode This Week in Metropolis, which I love doing with James. So it's not sad. We're only putting that on, aren't we? It's fake smiles all round. Yeah, exactly. So on today's episode, it is just me and James, and we're going to have a great time because we've got lots of stuff to talk about. We're talking about Jurassic World and how much we hated it, which is kind of controversial. More Spider-Man that no one wants. We're going to be talking about Elon Musk pulling out of things, and lots of exciting stuff like that. But if you're new to this channel, James, tell the people what they can do.
Well, yeah, you can, most importantly, subscribe to our channel. We're up to 120 now, which doesn't seem a lot to, some of the bigger shows that we talk to. And like Pete from Triple G last week, it's just a drop in the ocean to him.
He's got about 6 million now.
Yeah, but, the fact that we had him on our show probably helped us move up to 120. But if you are watching, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, and just comment, get involved. You can find us on social media as well, which you already know. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. We're everywhere. And if you can't be bothered to look at us, even though most people want to now, I feel it's the main attraction of the show. You can listen to the show from pretty much midnight, let's say. I don't know what time Matt goes to bed, but he spends his hard-earned time editing this show afterwards, so it's available in audio format. But enough about that. Let's get on with the show. Join us after this.
Hello and welcome to This Week in Metropolis.
Yes, hello and welcome to another week of This Week in Metropolis.
Yeah, and it has been a week since you last spoke to us. And we've already got 4 people watching and people in the comments, so really you missed us, which is really nice.
Yeah, and there was a few people actually that turned up a little bit late last week and were gutted because I think then they realised that our main man Triple G was on the show. But I'm pleased to say that them ones that did miss it live did watch it afterwards. And we have already got 3, as you said, one of which is Shane from Dawn Comics. Evening, Shane.
Oi,
Hope
oi.
you're well. Oi, oi. The man himself, the man, the myth, the legend, Triple G. Pete is in the house. Evening, Pete. Great show last night. I'll come on to that in a minute. And question mark, he's here. Hello and good evening. Hello, Mark. How you been, Matt?
Been good. Been very good. I must say though, I am sweating. It is so hot this evening. I was out in the garden earlier and it was just mental. And thankfully it started raining, so I was cooled down a little bit. But yeah,
it has been blistering. I was due to do Run Norwich this weekend, 10k race. That's been cancelled due to the weather warning, so postponed to October. And also with that weather, and I'm guessing just this time, but I don't know about you, we've lived in Norfolk now for, not together, but for 11 years. You're a little bit longer than me, aren't you?
Only about a little bit. Mine was August 2011, so
when I was
11 years in 2 weeks, thereabouts.
But since moving to Norfolk, you really smell that manure and the fertiliser that they use. Tonight, I'm not joking, I've had to shut all the windows because it's made my house stink.
Smell of poo, but it's always nice, isn't it?
Shocking, absolutely shocking. And moving up from London, which is where I was at the weekend, back down in Essex with question mark, and we went to see Thor: Love and Thunder at where is it? Waterloo IMAX.
Oh, in the IMAX in the middle of the roundabout.
Yeah. It's the biggest IMAX I think in the world.
On the planet. Yeah.
I'm going to go with it. The planet. That's right. And last night, Triple G done his review of it, which I watched with his pals. Really interesting stuff. And yeah, you haven't seen it yet, Matt, have you?
I haven't seen it yet. I've seen sort of headlines of reviews. I think one was something like, I know, a complicated story of, remaining friends with your ex or something like that is the way they described it. Which thought,
well, I have posted a review of it, and my reviews are not the most detailed, but they're enough. For me, it was fun, but and actually, I think similar to Pete last night, listening to the guys talking about it, and even speaking to Mark and the friend who we went with on Jason on Saturday. Speaking about it afterwards, you can kind of highlight a few more positives out of it, I think, but there's just so much in it that just the jokey side of it. I know that's Taika Waititi's way, but some of it just wasn't necessary. Do you remember I said about Endgame before, where it was quite a serious film when you think of the start of it? Half the population had been wiped out. You had Hawkeye, I think his family, had they not all been killed from it or wiped out from it? And then there was jokes in it that I didn't think were necessary. It was very similar to this, especially with the way it starts. But yeah, I'll be intrigued to see your thoughts on it. Sorry, there was a fly just flew past my head.
That's sort of becoming the more recent film zone. That's sort of almost become Thor's thing, hasn't it? They've transferred him into this, or transformed, I should say, into like quite a comedy character. From Ragnarok as well, because that was quite jokey, wasn't it? Through the
that was Taika's first one.
Yeah.
So they moved away from, I think, the third one. The second one, which was in London, wasn't it? If you remember, I think, or Greenwich. The Dark something, was it? Dark something. Anyway, whatever the second one was, that was quite serious. And then from the third one, and I love Ragnarok. I really liked it because it was very different.
Yeah.
But then for me, I think Guardians are the ones that bring the kind of comedy. And because there's multiple, I don't know, it just kind of sets the tone a bit with Guardians.
I think with Guardians, though, they bring the comedy, but there are still some quite emotional moments that they execute really well. Like Star-Lord with his mum and the stories with Groot, those bits where baby Groot's being bullied almost and things like that. And you do really sort of, I know, not identify with it, but it's done very, very well. Yeah, I find. Whereas, like you said, with some of the things in Endgame and that, it was quite jarring. Like you'd have, oh my god, this is really serious, and like, oh look, it's like slapstick humour again. It didn't quite work.
And the funny thing is, I know a lot of people. Well, certainly from some of the videos that I've been watching recently, weren't a fan of Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. And for me, that one was kind of leaps and bounds ahead of this Thor movie. And I've also felt, and again, I won't go into details if you haven't seen it yet, but even like the post-credit scenes are getting a little bit lame now. Like there was 2 post-credit scenes. The first one kind of sets it up for where it's possibly going with Thor, because apparently it's not the end of him yet. Right. And then the second one just seemed a little bit pointless. Like, and we've had that a little bit recently in some of the other shows, even the series that we've seen, and maybe we'll come on to that a bit later with some of the other stories that we've got. But you've actually watched a film that I didn't get a chance to really talk about. Again, I've done a review because I think I saw it the week that we had Simon on.
Before we go to that, though, I just want to one question. Not breaking news, but one question which I can see has slightly been mentioned in the comments about gore in to the Thor film.
Yeah.
How did that work? I'm judging by the comments, not very well, but how did?
So it's Christian Bale. And this is again linked to Endgame. The opening scene with him in it is very heavy. And you really feel for it. It does kind of then go into a bit of a weird scenario, which kind of takes the edge off a little bit. As a character, he looks terrifying. And pretty much all the way. And there was a part that I think Pete mentioned on his show last night, but me and Mark discussed afterwards and said there was a scene where his character tries be a bit jokey and does this kind of like puppet act in front of these kids. It's hard to explain that in more detail without giving away what's going on. But he's genuinely like he's an awesome character in it. And again, I think some of the comments that were made last night, like the fight scenes in the film, were really well put together. But yeah, I rated him right up until the end. The end, like the whole ending for me, just felt a little bit. And again, I'm going to keep harping back to Pete, and you know their knowledge is a lot better than mine. But as a casual fan of kind of the superhero genre of movies, well, I say casual, we're going to see them all now, but the endings are now, certainly for the villains in these, becoming softer, and they're almost not villains as such. It's the way they paint them at the end is just slightly different. So the ending,
you want it to be like a proper arc of here's the baddie, he's doing bad things, here comes a good guy, he gets rid of the baddie. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And again, there's a lot linked to it at the end, which kind of plays out where it's heading, I think. But yeah. I liked him. It was weird seeing him as a villain for me. But yeah,
and in that much CGI, like as such. Normally, you're used to him. I can't. You're probably gonna come out for a film where he was like completely CGI now, but
no. Again, I think it was just good makeup. I think that I don't think CGI was too much of an element in the film. I think that was good. But yeah, but the film. Go on.
But what James was going to lead on to before I rudely interrupted was Jurassic World Dominion. Yeah, which I've thoroughly enjoyed the newer films. I think the other Jurassic World films have been good to date. I think the characters have been pretty good, and the whole storylines with it. This one, though, I just... For me, what it reminded me of was the newer Transformer films. And I think the newer Transformer films are far worse than this one because there was enjoyable moments in it. But it felt like there was such a thin story to it. Like it was almost like a throwaway story, and you didn't really get to know a lot of the characters. And it was reliant on, oh, look, Jeff Goldblum's back. Yeah, this is brilliant. This could make it a good film. Or, oh, Laura Dern's back. Yeah, they're all back together. But there wasn't that much else to it. Oh, look, the T-Rex has beaten that dinosaur. Yeah, we've seen that before. And that's what was propping the entire film up for me, which was a bit of a shame. Like it was surprising for a 2.5 hour long film, which I think it is. It didn't feel like 2.5 hours, but
no,
probably because there was so much in it, but very few bits were actually that well linked. I don't know. What are your thoughts with it?
I thought exactly the same, and again was talking to some of the lads at the weekend about it, and just said like I felt too much emphasis was on the nostalgia element to the film, bringing back the characters from them original movies. And as good as that was, there wasn't really a link between them all. It was just
the fact
they all bumped into each other at one point, essentially. Yeah. But a lot of it, because they were trying, it was like there was two stories that were going on in the same movie.
Yeah.
That had an element of crossover in it. But I guess my issue is because of that, it meant that certain things were really rushed. So, just the whole concept of why they're going to, the original characters. I'm got Sam Neill's character. Mark will tell me what their names are because he kept doing it at the weekend. But the original characters going to basically dig the dirt on, and then giant dinosaur
locusts.
Things.
Yeah, that's
the crop feed, so that they kill all the crops, and then they have to go to this company for their food, essentially. And it was just the way that kind of Jeff Goldblum hands him a key. Where's the security? Like, they went downstairs. No, like, they're just fannying
It
about. down there.
suggested it was seen as well, like when the way I think it zoomed up to a camera or someone looking at them. We thought, oh, when they've been made out, like they can tell what's going to happen. For me, like
but then they go downstairs and all of a sudden they're wearing hazmat suits. Like, where have they got the time to? It just felt a little bit Austin Powers. Like, all of a sudden, it just felt a bit slapstick at times and a bit kind of, I don't know. I just didn't particularly like that. And I felt actually this was probably the one film that had the least amount of dinosaur scenage.
Scenage. That is now.
I'm going with it. You didn't have a great deal in there, I didn't think.
No, and that's why I liked the beginning when it was showing like the how, because the whole thing is that dinosaurs are now part of the ecosystem, aren't they? Really, now they've escaped, and I quite liked when you saw, I don't know, like they're on horses, and there's dinosaurs running by them, and that sort of thing. I thought that was, or when the girls in the construction yard and those big dinosaurs are walking through and that. I thought that was quite nice. But then it was the guy who I don't know the actor's name, but he was in Detective Pikachu as well, says to Bryce Dallas Howard's character, "Oh, I'm leaving now. I need to get paid. I've got a job, paid work." Oh, it just so happens he works for the CIA and he's working for on exactly the same thing that's going to help you find your kidnapped daughter or whatever. Like, come on. And then 5 minutes later, they're in exactly the right place in Malta. They've just got themselves to Malta. They happen to find that thing. You're like, what? It's just so vague, the whole plot. And even like the main guy, Dr. whatever his name is, the guy who's the main bad character who runs that big corporation, the way they got rid of his character, like, I felt he was in it for like probably about 5 minutes, and then he gets eaten. You're like, oh well, that's
at the end, when he went down the tunnels, didn't he?
Yeah, he was on that. He was on a
train
hyperloop.
Thing, was it?
It was a hyperloop, to bring us to a later story of Elon Musk. Yeah, and you just think, oh right, so that's sorted. Nothing to do now, is there? Yeah,
and again, that's it. I mean, I felt they almost didn't need to bring the old characters back in. I felt that could have been a hell of a lot better story if they'd focused more on what this trilogy was all about, and it wasn't about Sam Neill and the other woman.
No. It wasn't Laura Dern.
And Jeff Goldblum. I love Jeff Goldblum. I think he's crazily funny and weird, but
he's amazing. He never ages either. He always looks the same age to me. He's amazing.
Just his hair colour changes.
Shane has raised a very valid comment. Never let the plot get in the way of your story, Matt. Have you not seen a movie in 2022? And that's, I'll be honest, Shane, that's sort of how I felt with it. There are a few films recently, and it is just, I feel like they try and appeal to such a broad market of people. It's just throwaway. And it's a shame, like a big franchise like this, which has always sort of, if you think back to the early Jurassic Park films, it's sort of setting a standard, or some of the early films, because I think the third one was actually rubbish as well, wasn't it? But it's setting a standard with the effects and things like that. And you just think, ugh.
And do you know what? And the funny thing is, from this trilogy, the modern day trilogy with Chris Pratt, the first two I didn't actually go to the cinema to see. I think I saw them probably a year or two later when they were out on ITV at Christmas, and it was
exactly the same.
Like Boxing Day, wasn't it, or something like that?
Yeah, I did as well.
And I remember watching them and going, "Do you know what? He's pretty good." I almost didn't want to like it because of the way I think the original trilogy had kind of gone on a weird path. So that's why when one of my mates up here said, "Do you want to go see this third one?" The trailer looked good. From my enjoyment of the other two, I thought, do you know what? Let's give it a go.
Yeah.
Really disappointed.
It's a shame.
And it seems like, I mean, I've just got Pete saying here, really disappointed the series ended on this note. Dino Poo. The question is this the last one, or are they going to do more? I don't know. So I hope some of the viewers might know.
Really don't know. The thing for me as well, without harping too much about the lack of story, at the end as well, where, and it's full of spoilers this episode, so if you haven't watched it, whatever.
Tough luck.
It's tough. When they work out how to like solve the locust problem, but and BD Wong's character, the like scientist guy, it's like, oh yeah, it's fine. I'm just gonna like resequence her DNA and I'll work out how to do it in locust. Great,
Easy.
and
Easy,
how long's
mate.
that gonna take you? A couple of minutes.
Done.
Done. Yeah. What?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Madness.
It's a mess, to be honest. It's such a
It's
shame
mess.
as well, but hey.
Yeah.
One I forgot to say hello. Scott Shelf's in the house. Hey guys. I can see he's been commenting and getting involved. So
We're not ignoring you.
we're not ignoring you, Scott. All right, Scott.
No,
All
we're
right.
here.
Sorry. Anyway, well, that's time. Before we go on to the next story, just quickly, Matt, I just want to say because I know you're a big football fan now.
I'm a big football fan.
Even though you don't know this news, and
I
I'm
was
really
watching the
gutted.
football last night. The women's Euros.
Yeah, don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. Men's football. Let's talk about proper football. Where's Andrew? That's what I need to know. Where is Andrew? What is his name on this when he's on?
I don't know actually. I think he just comes up as Andrew, so he's probably not watching. So
Well,
you
It's
can
probably
mock him.
because he's drowning his sorrows because Liverpool played Man United today in Bangkok.
Did they?
And it was Eric Ten Hag's first game as Man United manager. And I know we don't do football on this, but hey, I'm feeling good. Because Man United won 4-0.
4-0?
Take that, Liverpool. Anyway, moving on to more common
Wow.
themed stories. Matt, you've got another interesting story to bring.
Well, it's, and again, I feel a bit the same as the sort of mood from the Jurassic World ones, in that for a couple of episodes now, I've been going on about Stranger Things, as of many people, pumped from the season finale of 4. They're bringing out 5, which weirdly though, and I'm a little bit worried about this too. Season 5, because we're on CGI and the production that, and they're only writing it now, isn't going to be out until 2025, they reckon. That's a long way off. And just thinking how much those kids would have grown by then as well is quite a... I don't know how that's going to work necessarily, but what they've said, and the Duffer Brothers, who are the guys... Yeah, no... well, in 4, they had to CGI 11 as, you know, to like a sort of a 10-year-old girl or whatever. So there's quite a lot of de-aging, if you'd call it that. But what they've said is they're going to do a spin-off of it. So they've announced this already, that they're going to do a spin-off of Stranger Things, and it makes me a bit nervous. Like they've done 4 amazing series of Stranger Things, and it's been incredible. But is it going to work? How successful are spin-offs when they do these sort of things? When you get like a big series, and then you take it in a different direction. They said, they have confirmed though, it's not the same characters. You're not going to get the same characters, but it is going to be on the same sort of theme. So I think it is going to be related to the Upside Down and that sort of stuff, but taking it from a different perspective. Do you think that sort of thing can work or has worked in the past?
Well, I think if it's the same writers and directors that are doing it, then you'd like to trust their skills of being able to merge or you know, do an offshoot from that main story. Now, as you know, I haven't watched any of the Stranger Things series. That's next on my list once I finish The Boys.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm buzzing to watch it because of the kind of just the chat that we've had about it and guests that we've had on and friends outside of this. You know, it's everyone spoke about Game of Thrones when that was on, but I didn't get the same feeling about it.
No.
Whereas this, I do.
Haven't they done a spin-off of Game of Thrones that's coming out very, very soon, or is out now, maybe?
Yeah, I think they are.
Oh, yeah.
But with spin-offs in general, I mean, you've only got to look. Are the series that we're seeing on Disney now like spin-offs of the Marvel Cinematic Universe? You know, and to be honest, Miss Marvel is the only one that I haven't watched yet, and that's purely because I feel like, and by all accounts, from what people have told me, it's a little bit kind of aimed at a younger audience.
Yeah.
I will get round to watching it, but again, all of them are pretty much spin-offs. Although,
the film,
I mean, and the characters obviously are offshoots again of probably the lower grade characters, not the kind of elite.
I was thinking in terms of spin. I was trying to think of spin-offs, having thought about this. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah,
I think that was a decent spin-off. You know, taking Coulson and showing a bit more of what he does. I think that was quite successful to a point. I think it, as many things do, didn't that get to like season 5 or something like that? I can't remember where I stopped watching that. Yeah. So I guess it can work, doesn't it? It's just I guess I'm hopeful in the sense they're saying they're starting afresh completely, which is good, because I don't think you want to take a character and put it elsewhere. But Better Call Saul.
Better Call Saul. Now, did you watch any of Better Call Saul?
No, because I hated Breaking Bad, so that wasn't.
Interestingly, I mean, what Triple G's saying here, Better Call Saul is supposed to be good. A colleague of mine, Susie, she loved Breaking Bad, binge watched all that, and she absolutely loves Better Call Saul, and that's set prior to Breaking Bad, so you learn about Saul and all that. And she said they're now up to series, I want to say 4 or 5 on that.
Wow!
And it's actually just before Jesse and Walt come into play.
That's really cool, isn't it?
She meets all that. So. And I think some of them original characters are going to be in this series that's coming up. So interesting that something like that links up with that original series. Yeah. Shane, well, interesting. Shane's just said, "How could you hate Breaking Bad?" I'm with Matt. I mean, the funny thing is, Matt, you and I watched this off the back of one of our old colleagues telling us and raving about it. And
saying how amazing it was. Yeah.
Do you know what? It's not that I hated it. It's just I felt it was quite long. I mean, you think of series now, 10 episodes, 8, 10 a series. I think this one had quite a few episodes per series. But also, there was some that were just a bit, and it repeated itself again. It was a bit like Prison Break. You went back round, oh, now we're back in prison again. With this, we're making meth again.
Meth making simulator. That's what it was. Well, no, see, I started watching it and I thought this is really good. Like there was some moments, and we've spoke about this probably quite a while ago now. But when Walter was there were just early scenes where he's in this car and his car's a bit beaten up and he hates his life, and like you can watch his character and you could just think, oh God, like you really feel for him. And his wife, I thought his wife was absolutely awful. As a character, she was so unlikable for me. But and there were really touching bits in it, and I thought there was some amazingly acted bits in it. But I just didn't get a payoff. I felt like I was working through all these episodes, a bit like you said, like. I felt like I was going through all these episodes and people were telling me, oh no, you need to watch it to season 4 because it really gets better. Then I'm like, I'm struggling.
To get yeah,
I've done 2 and I don't really want to watch anymore. And that was what it was for me. I just couldn't go the distance because I just wasn't getting that much from it. To be honest, which is
I've since watched tons of just kind of clips of Breaking Bad on YouTube, and watching it back in clip form is like, wow, God, and I'm not going to doubt and critique the scenes because some of them are really like, there's some really hard scenes to watch. Certainly for Jesse, who he's a bit of a dick.
He's a really sad character, isn't he? He's exploited. I think is the thing.
And that's I've actually found it better, and it does make me think maybe I should watch it again. But I know there's a lot of drag in between.
Yeah.
You know.
Just watched, a clip of the end of each season, and
Yeah,
you've pretty much got it, haven't you?
I love that Pete said this one. Joey spin-off from
Oh,
Friends. Yeah.
That
It was
Paul.
utter shite.
Wasn't it?
Right. And he said another one here, Torchwood.
Torchwood.
was
I
good.
never watched that.
That was
But-
with John Barrowman, wasn't it?
Yeah. Not
Mm.
being a huge Doctor Who fan,
Same.
either, which will probably upset people, but I've watched Doctor Who, but not religiously as such, so it didn't really sort of pass
Yeah,
by.
Did your boys like Doctor Who though, don't they?
Yeah, and the more recent Doctor Who's, the last like 3 series or whatever, we did start watching and got quite into those. They were quite good. The spin-off that I thought of, which is one of my favourite all-time programmes, but people might not realise it's a spin-off, is Frasier, which I love as a comedy. And but Frasier Crane was from Cheers, and the very, very old sitcom now, Cheers, which was early 80s. He was one of the people who went in the bar, and then they took him to a spin-off.
I
as
never knew that.
Yeah. So that technically is a spin-off, but was probably in the end more successful than the first one.
And did you know that they're bringing back Frasier?
Are they? I've
Yeah.
started watching Frasier from the beginning, so very, very recently. I just laugh.
Well, me and
love
Mark were
it.
talking about this recently, because again, absolutely loved. I loved Frasier. It was, what, Channel 4? Yeah,
Yeah.
it used to be on of a morning. You could,
Yeah,
and just the characters in it. Yeah, him and his brother, and was it their dad as well?
yeah.
Yeah, just an all-round really funny show. There was a fan-made trailer that done the rounds, and I'll have to send it to you, and I'll put a clip of it up on the channel if I can, or I'll share it somewhere.
The thing that surprised me though, and it's one of those things where you realise you're getting old, is one of the episodes. I'm on season 1 still, but I've only watched like about 60 episodes. But in one of them, his dad's like saying something to him, and he says, "Frasier, you're 41 years old." Blah blah blah. And I'm thinking, God,
Yeah.
I'm older than Frasier now. And you look at Frasier, and you just associate him with being old as such. You're like, wow.
Well, this fan-made trailer was turned it into a serious, gritty, like crime series. I'll send it to you. You will crack up when you see it. But
Love it.
but it is actually in the works. So interesting. So off the back of that, Matt, I think spin-offs can work as long as they're done right. But I mean, the success stories are probably few and far between, to be fair.
Yeah. Well, we have had a couple of very solid ones. Angel, a spin-off of Buffy, which I've never seen Angel. I've seen Buffy, but only Buffy in recent years.
Yeah.
And I think that was very well received. And a very old one, She-Ra, a spin-off of Masters of the Universe. Amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Good shouts. Good shouts.
Indeed.
Well, that moves us nicely on to what's that segment on the show called that we do?
I just don't remember. It's sort of on the tip of my tongue. Is it?
Is it...
Question mark.
Hello, gentlemen. Thank you for having me back on again. I've got a quick one this week. What is the point of re-releasing into cinemas Spider-Man No Way Home with some extra funny bits? Would you pay to go and see that? Cheers.
Question mark.
I think the simple answer to that question is there's no point whatsoever.
Well, I mean, you didn't like it anyway.
No, exactly. That's the thing. I didn't enjoy the film. So, well, I did enjoy the film, but I just didn't think it stood up to the hype.
Yeah.
That it was getting. I remember hearing this a little while ago, and I started digging around, and it looked like it was sort of June that this was first announced.
Yeah, because we talked about it.
Yeah, I think we have talked about it before, and I completely forgot about it. But it's apparently being like they're justifying it almost by tying it into the celebration of 60 years of Spider-Man, which I don't quite get, because if you're celebrating 60 years of Spider-Man, why are you re-releasing the most recent film that most people have probably seen only a couple of months ago?
Well,
Surely-
here's the reason, Matt. Shane's just hit the nail on the head.
Well, that's exactly the reason, isn't it? Yeah,
So,
money.
For
That's
the
only
listeners,
reason.
yeah, they made. I didn't realise it was this much. They made nearly $2 billion. I'm assuming dollars. And as Shane says, it's greed.
Not lira. That would be terrible.
Yen. Yeah. Which is about £3.60. No, but no, you're. It's just bonkers. I mean, unless it was a completely different, and as you'll see from the title that you made for this one, more fun stuff, because I think that's what it's referred to.
It's
as,
the more fun stuff version, which couldn't be more dumbed down.
Yeah.
Like, more fun. Yeah, like, God.
But then, you know, what we've recently seen with like the Justice League, you had the I was going to say the Jack Snyder cut, no, the Zack Snyder cut, which was that about 6 hours long, right? I don't. That didn't go to cinema though. Right, went straight to HBO Max.
No,
Didn't it?
yeah, that was straight to streaming, wasn't it?
But you know, the fact that there was a lot more, although I would say probably 90% of it was just slow motion bits, hence why it was so long. But, like, all the films are doing it now. So I watched an interview after we saw Thor. I saw an interview with Taika Waititi, and he was saying there's actually another version of the film which is 4 hours long, which is full of all the bits where they're just kind of doing improv. And because a lot of the stuff in there was improv, which I didn't realise.
Which I think is great.
Yeah, it's great, and you can tell by some of the there is some really funny lines. And Mark, you'll probably tell us some of them in the comments. But there was one where he was saying he was doing like this big rousing speech, and he was saying, "We'll go and get the children, and then we will feast, not on the children." And it was you know, it was.
Brilliant.
With just really good humour, but a lot of it was improv. But apparently there's a 4-hour cut of it where there's loads more. You know, you just think like, God, how many? I mean, I guess this is the thing on the cutting table, as I guess it's called. You know, it probably is twice as long where they're editing and doing bits and pieces.
Yeah.
But Spider-Man not needed.
But why don't they? You know, someone said on the comments, why don't you? Sure, this is something, you know, in the olden days when you used to buy a DVD or whatever. That's what one of the appealing factors of it. You'd buy like the deluxe edition or whatever, and it would have cut scenes, and it would have extra bits and pieces that justified that purchase. You know, you loved the film, so you wanted to own it, but you then got a little bit more, and it was sort of almost that peeking behind the curtain of how they made it. And I like that. I like watching. Yeah. As you said, like the improv bits or the bits they didn't use, and because it makes it more interesting. But for me, if you then change the film, it doesn't. I don't know. It for me personally, it just doesn't work, because it'd be like, and I know using it is a bit of a weird example, but Kanye West has done this loads on streaming services. He'll release an album, and then he'll change his mind about something, and he'll take like a guest off of it, or add a different guest, or change the song completely. And those sort of services allow him to do it. But would you want one of your favourite songs to be released differently? And it's just not the same thing then. Yeah,
no, I'm with you. I think it's a mixture of things. I mean, there is a fan base there, obviously, and you know, it's funny because, again, going back to Pete's video last night, you know, we can all sit here and moan about the films and what they bring out, but we'll go back to the next one. Do you know what I mean? Whatever. Definitely. You know, I think the next one we've got is the next Black Panther movie. I think that's the next one in the series that's coming out this year, I think.
I think a lot of people will see that. Just you know, it's a really sad thing, just to see what they do with it, because of the circumstance. I think, you know, that he sadly died. Where are they going to take that story now?
Yeah, but my point is it's a bit like this Thor movie. Everyone,
Yeah.
there's been a lot of negative press about it and a lot of negative reviews. We'll still go and see the next one. It's not going to turn away. You're not going to lose a load of Marvel fans or the MCU fans.
No.
So I think even with this, extent, I just don't like the fact that they're putting it in the cinema. That's probably my biggest gripe with it.
It makes me think that they think I'm an idiot. Is these things. Now, and that's what really upsets me the most. It's like, do you really think I'm an idiot? And I'm going to go, oh, there's more stuff, so I'm going to go and watch it. No, of course I'm not. And it was like Shane has mentioned Morbius in the comments, which I haven't seen. But I noticed when I was in Morrison's the other day, and that's out already on Blu-ray and stuff. But
Really?
yeah, I saw like a little rack for it. But that was released, absolutely bombed. Like everyone sort of said it was like the worst film ever. And then apparently it started picking up a bit on TikTok and things like that, and people were making memes out of it, and it was becoming a bit of a buzz around it because of that.
Yeah.
They then re-released it in the cinema, thinking, "Oh, well, people are talking about it, and they must want to go and see it." And then they earned about $5,000 at the box office or whatever, and they thought, "Oh no, actually, it's still bad, and no one wants to see it." Like, come on, don't take us for mugs. No one went to see it the first time. They're not going to see it again. They're going to watch it on TikTok or whatever, aren't they?
Interestingly, though, both Shane, I like Morbius.
Liked it, yeah.
And Pete.
There we
I
go.
like Morbius. Didn't deserve the mauling it got. But then we've talked, I think when we had Pete on, you say about the original Daredevil, I say about Green Lantern. I think it's all down to opinion and what you take from it and whether you enjoy how the story flowed or how the characters came across. And again, that's why I think we can pick fault with films all the time. And if you overanalyze it, and that's the thing, going to keep referring back to it, but it's interesting to hear comic book fans, and we're not experts on this, but one thing Pete said last night was that he's coming round now more to the idea that the MCU is completely separate from the comic book Marvel universe, and you have to almost differentiate them and
two
separate
interpretations.
them. So yeah, interesting, but yeah, for me, I won't be going to the cinema to see it, Mark. Definitely not.
No, definitely not.
Well, just before we go on to my next one, I did actually go to watch something completely different, because when I came back from London on Sunday evening, I thought, I'm only 2 episodes in on season 3 of The Boys. We'll flick Amazon Prime on, and at the top was Harley Quinn, Birds of Prey.
Right.
And
I've never seen it.
Emancipation of something. Right. Anyway, her film.
Yeah.
I thought, do you know what? I'm going to mix it up a bit. I'm going to put Boys to one side. I'm going to watch Harley Quinn tonight. Well, I got about half an hour in. I was actually quite enjoying it. And then I fell asleep. So, have to come back round to that one. But just be warned, there will be a review coming out for that when I do get round to watching it.
I think it is a bit of a sign of getting old now, because I have started doing this in watching films in 2 halves and stuff like that.
It wasn't actually that long a film, though. It was only an hour.
It was only an hour and 10 minutes. And
I think it was an hour and 40. So I should have been able to do it. And it was only 8:30 when I started watching it. So it wasn't even that late. That was bad.
Right.
The best thing was that I woke up after falling asleep for about 10 minutes, I reckon, and went, have I missed a lot? We'll carry on. And then I fell back asleep again and woke up and the credits were on. It was probably, I don't know, 9:30, 9:45, and I actually contemplated starting it again. And I thought, no,
God.
stop, James. Stop it.
Mad.
But anyway, right, let's move on. We're going to step away slightly from the whole movie scene and TV shows and all that, because there has been some news this week. No longer interested. Oh, you see what I did there? See what I did there? So Elon Musk, we talked about him probably 3 or 4 episodes ago, that he was buying Twitter. And
he said he was buying Twitter.
Yeah. Well, and I think the bid had been confirmed and everything. Wasn't it something ridiculous? Like
44 billion is.
I was going to pay it
for. Yeah.
400 quid.
£400.
But now he's literally pulled out.
He has. The other story about, just to slightly digress, the other story about Elon Musk in the last week was that he had twins with one of his employees at Neuralink.
Wow.
Yeah. And she gave birth a week before Grimes and him had their baby. So, yeah, he's up
Grimes
to
and
9.
him.
Yeah, so there's a musical artist called Grimes. I think he's split up with her now, but he's had 2 children with her.
And now she's had twins.
And no, but then he had twins with the employee at the same time as he had the baby with Grimes. But that was a secret sort of thing. He's up to 9 children now, apparently.
What? So he's like Boris. Let's not go political.
9 children, and it's about 4 different wives.
Wow,
maybe?
I didn't realise that
something
about him.
Yeah, so he's building his own army as well.
Yeah,
but the
empire.
the Twitter thing, it's been interesting seeing like the fallout of it. So I think people were sort of a bit questionable, why are you doing it? Because it started as a bit of a tweet of, oh yeah, Twitter's really great, I could make it better, and people sort of egged him on a bit. And then he said, oh, I'm buying it. But the press I've been reading since, where he said he's withdrawing from it and so on, has been quite damning of him as a person, and like recognizing, yeah, he's done very positive things, not just like for the planet in terms of like the electric cars and that sort of stuff, but they're interpreting this as very much him. It shows he's not necessarily the genius that everyone thinks he is. Like he thinks he can do everything, and he can do some things really, really well, but his ego gets a bit ahead of him with that, and I think that's what's happened in this situation. But there's a clause in the contract that if one party pulls out unfairly, or whatever the correct term is $1 billion severance. So he, in theory, owes Twitter $1 billion just by saying I'm not doing it anymore,
which is mental.
Quite a lot of money, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, to the average Joe.
Yeah.
It's just crazy. I mean, like you say, it's been going on a little while now as well, hasn't it? Because he was talking about the bots, and wasn't that one of the main things that he was trying to get rid of? Or
well, that's the thing, is that I think it's a general assumption that Twitter is full of bots, and like just going on Twitter, like casually, if you're ever on Twitter, the amount of things that are like spammed on there from like different bots and that is pretty obvious. There's quite a few on there. But it's sort of mixed reports as to whether he's saying, oh well, no, I asked for the information, they didn't give it to me, but a lot of people are saying, well, actually they had full access to it. Like the phrase is the fire hose, which is basically, you know, they can plug into all of that data and have full access to see what is on there.
Right.
And not a lot of people are saying that he had to it. So it felt at the time a bit like a negotiation tool. Oh, well, I was going to buy it, but hang on, there's loads of bots, and I didn't realise that was the case. Like, well, really?
Yeah. Has he got like do you think there's any opportunity with this that he can not renegotiate, but there's any comeback to it that he could end up buying it still? Or is it now that he's pulled out, he's got to buy? He's got to pay off that.
I think that's it. I think I know on Twitter suing him now, or something like that for doing it.
The article I read is that the employees of Twitter are now kind of up in arms and really depressed, and they've been told to sign like a non-disclosure form, so they can't talk about what's going on. Even though they're telling people that they've been told to sign a non-disclosure form. So there's definitely stuff going on in the back.
There's definitely stuff going on, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah.
It's crazy, isn't it?
It's very strange. We'll just have to keep... Will it be back Elon, or will it stay... See what I did there? I've done it again. It's just a name that keeps on giving. Let's see what's the viewers saying. Shane's saying Elon's meme tweet
About this was perfection. I've not actually seen it, so I'm going to have to look
tell us what
that
that was
up.
about. And yeah, Triple G said obscene amounts of money. Yeah, it is indeed.
And that is the thing. When you get to that point where whatever his net worth is, I don't know, he's got ridiculous amounts of money, hasn't he? But yeah, I think it gets to his head a little bit, doesn't it? And he thinks that, oh, well, I can do anything. I can do this. You know, it's easy. Running a social network, I can do this. Why can't they do it properly? And it was that sort of attitude, wasn't it?
I have heard, like, I don't want to keep going back to it, but in football, you know, Man United fans are in uproar about our American owners, the Glazers, who essentially, when they bought us, they instantly put us in like £500 million worth of debt, which is
Great. It's what you want, isn't it?
Because we're not actually using any of their money to buy us.
Yeah.
And I think they own an American football team as well, or a baseball team, probably both. But anyway, and there's been loads of United fans calling for him they've been tweeting him to buy Man United. And it's just crazy to think the amounts of money, you know, especially like with football teams as well, how much they cost. I mean, Chelsea, I think, had just been bought for like $4 billion. You know, it's by an American.
Yeah.
But yeah, crazy
people have that amount of money, which is crazy. But with the Twitter thing, it's worth noting though, it wasn't all his money that was having that, and there was a several investors that were getting together to buy it. So, you know, whether
that always makes it more complicated, doesn't it?
Yeah, you know, whether some of them pulled out and thought, no, Elon's having a laugh now, he's messed this right up, but who knows?
Watch this space.
Exactly.
Final story I got for you tonight, and I want to say it's news that's broke relatively recently, as in like maybe today.
Really?
You've heard of Wordle?
Yeah, I have. I've never played it, but I know exactly what you mean when you say
so
it.
this is a game. You have a block of letters, I think, and there might be some showing. You've got to guess which letters, and then it will show you which ones are in there, I think. Again, I've not actually played it. I know Mark plays it.
You have to get in a word in a day, don't you? I think
and I think
how it works.
I think you might have it's
a certain amount of guesses, isn't it?
Maybe, yeah. And I think you the quicker you get it, essentially. And I think there's certain because it's a 5-letter word, I think, every time. And I think there's certain, so if you put, say, I'm trying to think of a word that's got a, but like, I don't know, shark. There's a
shark.
That's quite a good 5-letter word. It will then work out whether there's them letters in there, and it will highlight which ones I think. I don't play it, so it's something like that. Well, anyway, there's a music version of this called Hurdle.
Hurdle.
Right?
Heardle for the listeners.
And Spotify have bought it.
Really?
So this was a game that I didn't even know existed, but again, a bit of a spin-off of Wordle. Maybe the theme of this show should have been spin-offs. But anyway, and Hurdle has been, Spotify have bought it, and it's going to be a new feature that they're going to include to help people like you and I, who are big Spotify users, to discover new music as well, and old music. And the premise is exactly the same to some extent, although, Matt, this is right up our street with, for the listeners and the viewers, there's a TV show called The Hit List with our favourites, Rochelle and Marvin.
Which James and I are going to be on at some point. We just need to... I don't know.
Well, anyway, them two. And essentially, we're going to be on there because... I say we're going to be on there. We're going to be on there because Matt is really good at hearing a little clip of a song and knowing exactly what it is. And hopefully, a bit like this show, I'll just be there for the look.
No, you'd get the newer ones, I think.
Possibly. Is it all
we'd dominate.
Is it all Fight Star's most recent album?
All the Fight Star 1975 tunes that they play, you'd be like over a rash.
But essentially, it's the name of that tune and who's the artist and all that, and you'll just hear a smidgen. Well, you're going to love Hurdle because I had a little go before we came on, and you essentially have a little soundbite of an intro to a song, You then put your guess in as you're typing. So I thought this song that I heard the beginning of today, and again, it's one a day, all right?
Nice.
And I started typing in the Rolling Stones at the bottom because I thought it was one of their songs. And a list of the songs that I'm guessing there's limited. I picked one, and you get 6 guesses. That was wrong. So then it gives you a little bit more, and then a little bit more, and it will go up to like 6 different segments of the song, but like obviously in its full. Oh my god, Matt, I absolutely loved it. I didn't get it.
Sounds amazing.
I knew the song. I couldn't think who it was, and it ended up being Fun. Is it We Are Young? Do you remember that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was that. So if you do today's one, that's what it is.
Is it a separate app, or is it part on the Spotify?
So you go on. It's a website called Hurdle. So you go on Hurdle, you play the clip, and then the link now with Spotify, and it does all have Spotify's logo on there and all that. Once you finish that song, you can then access that song on Spotify. So there's a nice tie in there.
That's really cool. Yeah.
But a really fun little game, and I would highly recommend it. And I just thought, do you know what? That's a nice little one for us to talk about, because that's definitely good for our practice before we go on the hit list.
I discovered an interesting Spotify fact this week, just coincidentally, which is the founders of Spotify, one of which is called Daniel Ek. I don't know who any other guys.
Daniel Ek, he's a big Arsenal fan, was got linked to buying Arsenal.
Is he?
Yeah.
Well, before they did Spotify, they created uTorrent, which if you
never heard of it.
You go, if you like wearing an eye patch and a wooden leg occasionally, you will know what uTorrent is. I was just surprised, and apparently they did it and then sold it to another company and then started Spotify. But apparently when Spotify started, when it was in beta stage and like people were testing it out, it actually had a lot of downloaded MP3s from the Pirate Bay. That they downloaded a load of stuff and put it on there so that people could work out how the app worked. There you go.
Little fun fact there to end on crazy show. Well, have you got anything else to bring the viewers, Matt? Any nuggets of
I
wisdom?
think we've given enough, really, on this show. There's been a lot to take in on this show, I feel, but it's been good. It's been good. It's like a purge is what we want.
Yeah, exactly. You know, as I always say at times like this, you know, with the heat the way it is, just make sure you drink plenty.
Yeah.
Okay?
Plenty of beer. And
plenty of
you'll
beer.
be fine.
Well, you know where to find us. Thanks for watching. If you have watched, if you're listening afterwards, or even if you're watching afterwards, thank you. But again, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We're going to try and get to 121 by the end of next week. So, you know, let's bring this on. We can do this. Tell your friends, tell your family. Get involved. Until next week, I've been James.
And I've been Matt.
We'll see you next week in Metropolis.
I hope you enjoyed that episode as much as we did. Don't forget to like and subscribe so that you don't miss any of our future episodes.
Yeah, and you can also follow us on all social media. So you can find us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok.